people of Britain voted to leave the European Union.
The Article 50 process is now underway, and in accordance with the wishes of the British people, the United Kingdom is leaving the European Union. This is an historic moment from which there can be no turning back. I have just chaired a meeting of the Cabinet where we agreed that the government should call a general election to be held on the 8th of June.
On Wednesday 29th of March 2017, Theresa May's postman in Brussels hand-delivered a 6-page letter to Donald Tusk, the President of the European Council, triggering Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, starting the formal process for the UK exiting the European Union within 2 years' time, with the negotiations expected to begin during May following the conclusion of the French presidential elections. And then on the 18th of April, Theresa May surprised everyone by calling a Brexit snap UK general election to be held on the 8th of June 2017. And this really was a surprise to all, because previously she had repeatedly stated that she would not be calling an early general election. Instead, in a statement issued, made clear that a slender majority in the House of Commons was not large enough to secure a strong Brexit outcome for the United Kingdom. Clearly, Theresa May has calculated that this is the most opportune moment to take advantage of a crippled Labour Party that is still immersed within its own civil war, having lost 40 MPs to the SNP in Scotland. Then there are UKIP, who are literally imploding without purpose following the triggering of Article 50. All of which is manifesting in a landslide generating poll lead of over 20% over Labour. So at this very early stage, probability strongly favours a Conservative strong election victory on June the 8th. Therefore, in this series of 10 videos based on my 2 pieces of in-depth analysis published at the Market Oracle website, that will be updated as each video is completed and published, that aim to map out the dynamics of the Brexit war that is set to unfold between the UK and the European Union, and what actions the UK needs to take to ensure victory in this Brexit war, including what game theory suggests the UK should do virtually immediately following the outcome of the June 8th general election. So do subscribe to this YouTube channel for forthcoming videos in this in-depth series in the run-up to the June 8th UK general election. Britain's anti-establishment Brexit contagion could once more be on the march by spreading from its heavy influence on the US presidential election that allowed an alt-reality TV star to effectively con his way into the White House, and thus could similarly allow far-right Le Pen of France, funded by Putin's regime, to squeak her way into the Elysee Palace. Whilst it is beyond the scope of this video to consider all of the ramifications of potential Le Pen victory for the French people, one thing is for certain, that it would greatly destabilise the European Union, as the Le Pen regime would be pro-Brexit and soon announce France's own FrExit EU Referendum, which would amount to the death of the European Union. The first part of the French election drama draws to a close on Sunday, where according to the polls, Le Pen leads the other 4 nearest candidates going into the first round of voting on 23.5% against Macron next on 22.5%. A runoff election where if no candidate can secure more than 50% of the vote, then the 2 candidates with the most votes go on to the second and final round, i.e. probably Le Pen and Macron. So can Le Pen win? The problem is Le Pen, or Front National, as far as I can see, has never managed to break beyond 40%, and therefore even at this late stage Le Pen looks unlikely to break above 40%, which means that 60% of the votes will be anti-Le Pen. so go to Macron. In fact, it does not really matter who goes into the second round with Le Pen, for they would all likely secure a similar 60% anti-Le Pen vote, which is what all of the pollsters and pundits have been consistently stating all year. Le Pen is unlikely to break above 40% in the second round. So what do the betting markets say about who is most likely to ultimately win the French presidential election? Clearly the betting markets are heavily discounting a Macron win on 1.84 against Le Pen, a distant outsider, on 4.4. However, it should be noted that the betting markets had Hillary Clinton on 1.2 against Trump on 5.4. So could the bookies, pollsters and pundits be badly wrong again and Brexit happen for a third time? I suspect that the election will be far closer than the pollsters, pundits and bookies think it will be. For we only need to look at what happened in the US swing states that went for Trump instead of Hillary because of higher turnout of Trump voters. The same thing could happen again, but will it be enough to achieve 50% of the vote? This French election is a tough one to call for two reasons. Firstly, I've not paid probably 1/100th the attention to it that I've paid to Trump or Britain's Brexit referendum. And secondly, Brexit allowed for an invisible 4% swing, whereas Le Pen needs a 10% invisible to the pollsters swing, which is a huge ask. So in my final forecast conclusion is that in the second round the Brexit contagion would deliver Le Pen a hidden 5% swing to secure 45% against Macron on 55%. It's just that Le Pen needs a 10% invisible to pollsters swing, which is way too large. 4% yes, 5% even, but 10% hidden from the pollsters? That is very unlikely. Anyway, we'll find out in just over 2 weeks' time. However, achieving a 45% in 2017 will likely allow Le Pen to win in 2022, if she's still the leader of the party. And finally, whoever wins France is still doomed because of socialism, debt, unemployment and the euro. And ensure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel for the next video in the Brexit War series that maps out in detail what is likely to happen and what Britain needs to do to achieve Brexit victory of the European Union superstate.